They used to have small containers down the south end. They only had the one berth, right? And the ship still travelled to the Isle of Man. I'm trying to think of the name of them now. But anyway, they used to the bottom of Stanhope Street. That's where the docks were. But they never had that, John. That was the Irish that brought the Guinness in.
That's right.
Yeah.
The lady who had the Guinness boats, the Guinness company.
Talking about the Isle of Man boats.
Oh, the Isle of Man boats,
yeah.
The
Isle of Man boats.
They're
only small, not like containers like now.
Yeah.
They probably.
But
That's what they used to store them in. Then they used to go, if you went to by the pier head there, we used to call it the half tide. The berth there.
Princess.
Yeah, round there. Obviously, that's all Irish traffic, still is.
The link,
still was, you know. That's right, they call it the link. And everything went there to that. Used to bring animals in. Yeah, you know.
Birkenhead and the Sloan, and they'd walk them up in Birkenhead, Saturday morning job, and Herder would come with them, but they walked them off the ship in Birkenhead, walk up, and you'd be hired for Saturday morning, 7 o'clock, and they'd wash the ship out before they come over to load. So they'd used to give you leggings and the waterproofs, and hose piping the ship down where the cows
where's the Sloan?
over in Birkenhead. Yeah.
But
The real Sloan is on the river, opposite Leeds. Ships would park up there, the Sloan. That's known as the Sloan.
Because in 1946 there was a forced deportation of Chinese seamen,
the Chinese,
and the ship, the Sarpedon, was held in the Sloan.
That's right. Just the river opposite Leeds is known as the Sloan, always was. But when they walked off over Birkenhead, they called that the Sloan as well. But the proper Sloan is in the river.
Yeah.
Like ships used to wait to go into Dingle. And they just wait in there to go.
Because the river narrows, you see, as you go down. Further you come south, it narrows down. And then once you passed the south end, past the pier head, you then start to go into Garston docks. So it's going up again. Then after that, you're going into Manchester Ship Canal. So you can see it's all closing in on the way that.
So why do you think that they held the ship in the Sloan to take the men?
Well, one, they wait to go into the dry dock or repair something like that there. They're waiting to go for the oil jetty to discharge or to load oil in like that. And it was just waiting to go in the south end dock, right? It was just a holding place, the Sloan. Why they call it the Sloan, the name itself, I just don't know. But it was just a Sloan, no, it's in the Sloan,
Yeah.
Well, you go across on the ferry, you see the ships lying there waiting there,
There was something, I think Andy mentioned about the magic clock.
What, the 5-face clock?
Yeah.
Down south?
Yeah.
No, the one
the one
either
the
side.
one that's still here now.
Yeah.
Still here.
That's the replica of the St. Petersburg, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if we talked about the box, what's the box?
Box 5, just the box.
Well,
Just the box.
a box could be anything. You could, like they call containers the boxes.
The boxes, yeah.
Right. That's one thing. But they also call the pens box. Like box 5, box 1, box 3. Box 10, box 11. That was just so rather than saying the pen, they said box 5, box 6. So it was a
6 was the clear house. You used to call that the clear house.
It became a pen as well, didn't it?
It was a pen. Clear house was.
Then it went to the carriers. But all I'm saying is that was the terminology that people used as, shall we say, a meeting place for the pen. But it was a transiting situation with the pens, because you could be working in Birkenhead and you finished 11 o'clock this morning, right? Now you got a choice. You had to come all the way back and go to your pen,
or
say
go
you're box 5, box 6, box 7, whatever, right? Or you go into Birkenhead's pen at 1 o'clock. Now, what they would try and do, if there was work on this side of the river, they'd try and send you across, right? That's one. Or if there wasn't, you could end up a week or two over that side, still doing, So that was the way you could. That's when I say transiting. You could go into any of them, and as long as you finished there on that side, Birkenhead, you would go into Birkenhead pens.
If you arrive for the pen to go somewhere out the area, they give you a bus ticket. You get a ticket for the bus.
Well, they used to put buses on.
Then later on they put buses on.
Put
But
buses
you always got a ticket.
Yeah.
Go down, you know, whatever. Yeah.
While you're in front of the camera, could you just tell us again about the inhumane conditions of the pen? What it was like to be in the pen?
The pen was all right, but nobody bothered by it. I didn't buy it. Did you find it? I never found it anything but all just all right. The lads are in there. What's in? What's going? Sift the salmon, all that crowd. And you just take it as it was. Well, get away from
Because
that.
you were
Hide on the wall.
Because
hide on the wall. Home wreckers. You can home wreckers like stone back and delivery. I just didn't want to do it. They do it at 7 o'clock, you know. We'd never work at 7 on a Thursday. Because that was your payday. Payday's Thursday. But every other, 7 o'clock. 4 7s on a Sunday. That was it. Or the Crown Jewels the weekend. Or the best was the Crown Jewels. That was Saturday night. The Nuggets was the Easter weekend. All the weekends on that.
But I mean, you see how I mean, just discussing it here with us, you see how it was. It's become a little bit of a, like, the seriousness to me was more important, right? The wages and conditions that they were working on was atrocious, absolutely atrocious, right? And I keep using that word, dehumanised.
Never really altered until they got the containers. When you did get the dirty, it's all in
Well,
containers.
Frank, I'm talking about people, I'm not talking about commodities.
People.
I'm not talking about commodity, I'm talking about the people who work there, right?
Who?
Well, as you said, when you come on, there was 15,000 dockers.
Yeah.
When I went on, there was 12,000 dockers, right? Right. When I left, when we had the strike,
About 300.
no,
500 was it?
there was 500,
Yeah.
right? In the last strike, when we got finished, all got sacked, right? In 95. So what I'm saying is that I've seen the transition come through it, and the people, like, there was such lovely men that worked down there. There's some I wouldn't push off the side. You wouldn't go near them, right? Because they didn't have no affiliation towards you. It was either themselves, right? Whereas I'd say to Frank, listen, there's a job starting tomorrow, you know, you give him the heads up on it. Or if you come on the job, right, and there's like, we'll just say there's us, like, okay, there's 6 of us, but say there's 8, if we're on the quay or on the ship, and he says, listen, Kevin, my missus is in hospital, I've got to go and visit. Frank, no problem. We'd compensate him off your pot. The kids are not well, see you in the morning, sort it all out, you know, let them go early, whatever the case may be. That we introduced our own welfare on the docks, and then we set up the welfare committee, right? We had them in the 5 different areas, right? And we set that up, right? And it was a voluntary thing. We even got the Jim Fitzpatrick, who was the chairman of the dock company. We got him in the scheme. I ended up being the chairman of the port welfare, but we had it in 5 different areas. Nobody really looked after the men when they finished it.
Otherwise, we did it ourselves. We had a tarpaulin muster.
Yeah, that was for collections.
A tarpaulin muster.
So to do away with that, if you face fitted, you got it. Now, that again, I was totally opposed. I'm not trying to be a Robin Hood here, but I didn't like the idea because Frank was a dead quiet fella and he just went about his business and he was a nice fella. Don't mean this, but the next guy, you know, hey, roaring Willie, you know, shouting and screaming and that. Well, everyone was always well known. And when you have a tarpaulin muster, a collection, they go always. So you go, Frank, you know, the deckhand. No, I don't know him. You know what I mean? So he might get £10 and he might get £40, right? Because he's, oh yeah, I know what you mean, yeah, them, and it could work the other way. Where you go, oh, not that.
I was a joiner.
Not that prick, you know what I mean?
Joined everything.
Not like that. But we made it ourselves because we tried to, not when I say we, I'm talking about the dockers, because we looked after each other. Nobody looked after the fellas once you left the dock, you were finished, right? In 1974, we introduced the welfare.
National Loch War had the welfare.
No, Frankie, 2 different things, mate.
They used to come round here and see what was going on. Pam and Holland.
Yeah.
Do you remember there?
Yeah.
One.
Red Sutton, I know that. I remember them all.
So did you introduce toilets and washing facilities and showers and stuff?
That came automatically after 1967. After 1967, they had to make it compulsory. That was part of the agreement. of coming in, that you had to have hot water, soap, and the fella used to come round every day, little trolley, and he'd wash it down. That's all he'd do, he'd wash it and replace the liquid soap. That's all. We had paper towels, that's all we had.
And they made honky-tonks that make little sheds for your cup of tea, little canteens.
Yeah, but that
Built made them. That was after 67.
yeah, of course it was, Frank, yeah, because what it was, we used to call them tea huts, like, and what it was just like a porter cabin. That's the best way to describe it, right?
They put them there in 67 so you could get a cup of tea in it. Even had a fella to look after it.
No, but they didn't make tea for you. They had the vending machines.
Outside, vending machines. But the huts, they had hot water there to make a cup of tea, drink it or whatever it is.
It depended on they had a watchman that looked after it, if I looked after it, was employed.
Yeah, I remember him.
And what do you do? Some fellas, like I wasn't fussy. I used to like the chocolates in there. That was the good thing in the machines. But what I'm saying is like, the method was, one, if it was on the west side, right, they had them there. Because if the ship was on the tea break, the men could go there. Failing that, prior to that, you'd have to go to virtually the Dock Road. So it satisfied them as well, because it stopped the men going away from the area, like type of thing.
Canada didn't. They had there's not there to the YMCA. They had the west side, on the west side.
I don't know that, Frank.
Yeah.
So when you left the dock, say if you left the dock or got sacked or something, was it easy to go into another job? Or were you
The
like...
same as everyone else, you get the sack, the same thing, innit?
The thing about the docks is this, is that, and this is going to be rammed home, people, and I used 0-hour contracts today,
Yeah.
we were on that then. You were employed every 4 hours, right? 8 in the morning till midday, you could be broke, being finished, right? That's if the job didn't finish beforehand, right? Now, so technically, that's all that was basically your contract of every 4 hours. If there's no work, you then signed on a lesser rate of pay. Okay? Now, imagine going to somewhere if you just got married or you want a three-piece suite or something like that, you know, right? And you went. The first thing they do, if they're going to do, they want to know what your working history is. Have you got enough money? Dockers could not get credit
I got
unless...
a mortgage in 1965.
I'm just saying, Frank.
I was on the dock.
I'm not saying you didn't get a mortgage, right? I'm just saying, like, that they didn't have it if you didn't have the credibility, if you didn't have a couple of shilling in the bank or something of that nature. And the other thing, just another thing on that, right? Because I got a mortgage when I was on the dock as well.
Right. This is before the scheme, I got a mortgage.
Oh well, I didn't know that, Frank.
You'd get a mortgage. I got one off the Liverpool Building Society.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Not in the forum now, yeah.
You can't get a mortgage if you're a musician now.
There you go. Because it's classed as you
Self-employed.
Well, you're not. You know what I'm saying. I know what I'm saying. Because ours was casual labour.
Yeah.
It wasn't voluntary labour. It was casual. So you could go a week without. My dad signed on. I'm sure you've done it, Frank. You signed on for a week. I've done it. Where you signed on all
one
week.
One night. That's all you said. That's all your money gone.
But what I'm saying, when you went anywhere to show your credit capability, you didn't have any, because you technically you didn't have a job, because you weren't guaranteed the wages. If you worked,
you're guaranteed selling that money.
That's all, Frank.
Yeah.
Oh, fine.
Yeah. You get furniture.
As you said before, you went on it was £10 one. I went on it was £11 1 and 8.
That's right, £11 1 and 8. I was at sea for £11 1 and 8 a month.
I think it's interesting hearing your version of working in the docks, and then you as a young man seeing how dangerous it was.
Whoa.
And seeing your father and grandfather and making changes. It's
Definitely.
interesting, that, isn't it?
Well, we had to make the changes because, you see, if you didn't, you would have slipped back into, oh, well, we've always done that. Oh,
Yeah.
you'd always do that. No, you'd always get killed. Oh, do you?
Smith and Collins
Yeah.
put a stacker down on nights,
Yeah.
and anybody who wanted to drive it, they paid. If you didn't want to drive it, it just stayed there. And I seen a fella got killed, chopped in half. Johnny Mumford's brother, putting the plates in, And,
The big shield.
that's
What
it.
they put, it's like
ship plate.
if they put it over the cargo so that the stacker can run on it. The thick,
And
you
it'd be
know,
left
like
out
that.
there, and
Make
you
it
run
floor.
over, no, the shackle was broken, whatever it was. But it come down like that. Waggle slap one of that. And he ran the wrong way, and hit him here, cut him around that.
Oh, the,
We all went home that night. I had nightmares for months after.
they were
Terrible.
Did you get danger money for
No.
certain things?
the
Well,
only
You wouldn't call it days, well, the insurance wouldn't have
Yeah.
that, would they?
No.
No,
You
you
wouldn't
can't
be allowed.
allow. You can
Wouldn't be allowed,
condone it like by
Yeah.
and encouraging it. That's where the job as the stewards, right, become a little bit difficult. It was an educational thing that we're trying to educate them, and no, because you've always done that. That doesn't mean we'd always claim to get better, you know,
Customer practice.
to get better, you know, plants, better shackles, better ropes, better all the working material was better of a high quality. That's where Smith Coggins shined.
There was McKex. McKex never had a rope, didn't have any control. And they used to do the shy boats
Yeah,
without the crane. They used to go around firms and that's bottom has to do them. That was McKex. And he'd say to them, and we're working tonight 7 o'clock. So his son said, I think my dad's made of money.
Yeah.
He'd say to you, my dad's not made of money.
But you know, I mean,
Shambles.
there's a serious side and there's a very serious side,
Yeah.
and then there's also, you know, humorous side of it, right? Because if you didn't laugh, you were dead.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have survived.
Laissez faire.
That's why they say that all the comedians came off the docks. It wasn't because they were good at it; they'd cry otherwise.
You have to be careful. You have to be careful.
You go to work in the morning and you work the most hardest job that you'd be carrying bags, Frank, wouldn't you? The land there, right, and polypropylene bags, they rip your hands apart,
Kind of with the wind.
right? Rip
Oh,
your
come on.
hands apart, and you couldn't use gloves on them because they're just slipping away. So that's right,
Sugar bags.
polypropylene.
Children weight bags.
Polypropylene, and you'd be walking them in 3 times the length of this room, right?
Out of a barge.
In the ship, you're working in the old, right? And you'd be stowing it, and you wasn't walking on a floor like this. It was like the Rocky Road to Rio.
What you made.
It was like that because you were stowing it, and obviously you'd come up and come out.
Stand it in the square.
You build up, and you build a bulkhead there, and then you come out with it. You know.
Sometimes you put a Glasgow on it, wouldn't you?
Well, that's, you know.
Well, Glasgow.
Glasgow was artificial. You know, instead of
Yeah,
going all the way in,
like that,
you'd only come in, you build a Glasgow,
Yeah.
we used to call it Glasgow face. So it was a
Oh,
false.
And Gallybuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Gallybuck called
When
it.
I used to pick them up, because I was on the transport and was on the maintenance as well.
Yeah, sure.
But I used to have had the proper big hooks. But
Okay.
I had a little
Scratcher.
little bag hook with
You
like
scratch it,
little
that's the one
teeth
you-
and little
You get them with 2 hooks like
Yeah.
that, and one on single hook like
Yeah.
that. Little
Well,
small.
scratcher.
yeah.
No, the scratcher.
Little
For bags.
like little
The
beads
stumps
on
of
it,
it,
Yeah, they were scratches.
Yeah.
They were scratches. They were dangerous.
That would give me
Could you just say what your name
Yeah.
is? On
oh, John Brett.
and I think you've already said, but
No, yeah.
if you could say it again.
Kevin Robinson.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
That's great.
But just that's a good point that you just there, Frank, about the scratcher.
Yeah.
Now, a scratcher was say like your hand like that. It was on a hook situation, but it had all little teeth like that, and they brought them in because you wouldn't do damage to the bags. If you put a hook in it, you put it all in it,
Yeah.
right? So with the scratcher, it used to come along, but the dangerous of it was, and this is where we got them banned, was that if me and Frank were working like that, we'd be pulling on the bag. I miss that goes right in his face.
Yeah.
Right, so we said, no, that's dangerous. One thing about the hook, it was in the bag. It was locked in, whereas the scratcher wasn't. And eventually, they got rid of it. Right.
And when we were on the catch weight bags, sugar, they just put a hook in it and it just ripped through. No hooks on the sugar.
Yeah,
Like
that's
these
right.
hooks on the sugar.
That's right.
So that's how they gave you scratches. But they were rubbish because they were 200 weight,
Oh,
200 weight plus.
yeah, what they done instead of the scratches, the ones with the 2 like that or the
Yeah.
single hook were easier, because on a bag, it's got a pair of lugs, like a pair of ears.
Yeah.
Right, hasn't it? So as it's down like that, you'd put it in the lug and you'd lift it up like that. So Frank and I would either side, we'd get it lift, and we'd lift it, go right, get it, right.
End to end, working on
And
the end.
that's the way you do
One end, no
with,
lug.
with the scratcher, you couldn't do that. With the scratch it went on the bag, and as I said, if it ripped through it like that, it either got yourself or your mate.
But used to be making them at
Ended up
something like
falling off
opposite
the tail.
park.
Yeah.
So what did you do, John? What was your job?
Well, I started off on transport, going in to the dock, loading, you know, all the bags and the cotton and the cocoa beans and stuff like that.
Keenans. They were a big fan for that, weren't they, Keenans?
Yeah. I'll actually work for them.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'll take this on for them.
Yeah, so timber, you know, everything they unloaded, I loaded to take out the
Joe
job.
Bush was. Do you remember Joe Bush?
Yeah, he immigrated to Australia, Joe.
Sorry, he was a character because he only dealt in cotton.
That's right.
He only dealt in
So wasn't he?
bales of cotton.
Yeah.
But my God, he could store them.
Yeah.
He could, you know, coming out the loft.
Yeah, if you had a good jigger, good jigger man,
Yeah.
They put an house by the way.
it basically loaded itself.
Yeah.
But if you didn't have a jigger man who didn't know what he was doing,
Yeah.
you're chasing all over the wagon.
To put it out, to put it right in place for you.
And the jigger man was the man who altered the size
Yeah,
of the road.
he looked after. He worked for the dock company.
That's it.
They-
He worked. So, like the crane on the roof, they were all dockmen.
My
When the scheme started, they all
was he?
Look on the book.
Yeah. They were good guys. Yeah.
What's your name that would have worked? No, the bales of rubber, because if they come out
Body
with you,
bounce.
you
Yeah.
don't run anywhere,
Go like that.
because wherever you went, the bloody thing chased you, didn't it?
Yeah.
Even if you went under the trailer,
Trying to
you
go
bounce
something
under the
down the
trailer
track.
after you. You just stand there and wait for it to go.
When you work down below and you were loading, you put them in nets. Right, so when they come up, you can imagine the four corners would come up like that and get it. But it depends again on the deck and the crane driver. Some of them were absolutely fantastic. You know, they could crack an egg, these guys. They were that good. And the deckhands. Oh, honestly, pie you there for you.
They were done in...
That's my excuse, by the way.
What's it called?
Right. But nevertheless, what I'm saying is that with the rubber, if you have a mishap with it, you imagine what happens. It bounces. You're talking about bales. The big what? By that eye, some of them like that, and they'd be bouncing all over. You'd be running.
They were stowed
Very
in talcum powder
Yeah, that's right, to stop the friction.
because they'd stick together in the walls down them tanks.
To stop the friction.
Charlie used to bring them in, and some of them, and he'd get a dog from them, heave them out, and they'd stretch like that before they come and bounce up in the air. Unbelievable.
It was so. Anyway, go on. I was giving this one.
So John, when you picked the goods up, where did you take them?
All over the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the warehouse, Liverpool warehouse or Arbuckle Smith.
Yeah. No, well, I was out of town. So
okay.
when I picked it up, stuff that I picked up all went out of town. It wasn't, I think you only ever had 2 local jobs.
Well, they had local firms like
Pilkeys.
Kirker.
I worked for Pilkeys.
Yeah,
Not Pilkeys. They worked out of Pilkeys. They put that fire station in Marsh Lane. Proctors. Remember Proctors?
Proctors, yeah.
That was all I used to do.
Yeah,
I used to go to Pilkeys in the morning
Yeah.
with float glass. Remember the float glass things?
Yeah.
Put big float glass on that.
Store side out.
Yeah. Then you take them back to the B&I.
Yeah.
And you sit in the B&I nearly all afternoon.
With the queue.
Yeah, waiting to get these.
Wilkinson's went on that, didn't he?
He used to take all the copper, didn't he?
Yeah.
But the other thing you see, you're not delivery.